Hey guys, so in today's video I wanted to talk to you guys about this post that was in a CNA group that I'm a member of on Facebook and kind of share my thoughts about the whole thing. So it is a sort of long post, so this is the post right here. I'm going to read it and then I'm going to share my comments on it. So this person says, if anyone who works in nursing homes and assisted livings could give me some insight on this and tell me I'm not crazy for thinking this is really shady. So my girlfriend works in an assisted living. I work in a nursing home as a CNA. They had some company come into her job today and say that on a random day next week, they are going to have an active shooter drill with a real gun with blanks in it. They're going to be pointing this gun with blanks in it and shooting people, and that they will have to run 2 blocks away to get away from the shooter. Does anyone else also feel like this is a tragedy waiting to happen, like the Alec Baldwin tragedy, or is it just me? All I'm saying is the company that I work for would never do some S-word like this. And that's why I'm so baffled by the sounds of this active shooter drill with a real gun with blanks in it, possibly being pointed at my future wife. So first of all, I don't think that that's a good idea. Because one, obviously, if you're working in a nursing home or assisted living, then there are residents around. And what if those residents have PTSD? I have worked in facilities where, like, we had military veterans who, even at the sound of thunder or fireworks around the 4th of July, they would run and hide in their closet, or they would start throwing things, like especially in memory care. We had a particular resident who would start throwing things because he thought he was back in the war. So I don't think that's a good idea just from a resident standpoint, but also, why do you need to be shooting a real gun inside of a facility like that? I get the importance of active shooter training in pretty much any facility of any kind, not just healthcare, but education, working in a grocery store, just because of the whole uptick in craziness that's going on in the world today. I think it's important for anybody in any type of profession to get active shooter training because, I mean, from an elementary school to a grocery store to a bike ride, you know, a marathon, whatever the case may be, you never know what is going to happen from one place to the next, and you never know where there's going to be some sort of active shooter situation going on. So I do think it's important that every employee of any type of company be trained in how to respond to an active shooter, but to bring a real gun shooting blanks hurt. In case you didn't know, even rubber bullets hurt. They're just not lethal, if that makes sense. And so I don't understand, like, the whole purpose of shooting a real gun with blanks inside of a care facility like this. Like I said, not just people with PTSD who are residents, but also people, like, even if you had this discussion with elderly people before this training happened, you don't know how they would respond to that. And what if somebody was walking past and didn't realize that it was an active shooter, like an active shooter training, and thought that it was a real thing because they probably hear people freaking out. I know at facilities I've worked at, if people heard a gun, whether they were shooting blanks or shooting the real thing, they wouldn't know the difference. And so they'd be screaming, they would be losing their minds. To have, like, people telling you have to run 2 blocks away to get away from this fake active shooter, that just sounds crazy. And I do also agree with, you know, it does sound like a tragedy waiting to happen as far as, like, what happened with Alec Baldwin. For those of you who don't know, he was actually shooting a gun on a film set, and apparently it was supposed to be blanks, but it was the real thing, and he shot and killed. I don't know if it was a production assistant or somebody who was, like, filming with an actual camera. I can't remember the specifics of who this person was that he shot, but he shot her and she died. So I don't think that this person is crazy for not being on board with this type of a situation. I do think there are productive ways that may be a little bit more efficient of training for an active shooter. I don't think you could ever be fully ready to deal with an active shooter situation in any sense, but I do think there are better ways to train people to kind of be a little bit more prepared. Obviously, you never know what you would actually do in that situation until you have been in that situation, but I think it's pretty crazy to go into a nursing home or an assisted living and be shooting a real gun with blanks in it. I don't know the legalities of doing that. Obviously, per each state, there's probably different requirements for how often you have to have certain trainings like that, but I don't think that I would be okay with going through that sort of active shooter training. I have PTSD, and it's not from military reasons, and has nothing to do with like being shot or being shot at or guns in general. And I don't think I would be okay with that, because just the stress of the situation and like the severity of everything going on and it feeling like a real situation, I don't think that mentally I could handle that. I think it will traumatize a lot of residents or patients, and I think it would probably have the potential to traumatize your employees as well. So like I said, I think there are better ways to handle training someone for an active shooter situation. I'm just curious, like, have any of you guys gone through active shooter training? And if so, did you have a real gun being shot with blanks? Was it something that was less panic-inducing, less traumatic, I guess I would say, for you in your situation when you got your training? I'm just curious, like, I have to go through active shooter training in October for my job at the school, and I really hope that they are not shooting real guns. It's on a day when there are not going to be any students there. I just really hope that it's not going to be a day when, or it's not going to be like a situation where they bring in a real gun and shoot blanks, because I would not be able to handle that. I am glad that they warned us in advance of what day they're going to be doing this active shooter training, but I just cannot imagine going through that sort of simulation, because even though it's a simulation, I think my PTSD would just be off the charts. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this situation. Do you think it's necessary for a nursing home or assisted living facility to be bringing a real gun in and shooting blanks? Do you think it would be traumatizing to the residents, to the employees, to the community, for anybody who might hear this going on outside and not necessarily know that that is what's going on? So yeah, let me know your thoughts. And yeah, if you guys have any topics you'd like me to talk about in the future on my channel, please let me know, and I'll be glad to get something filmed for you. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I will probably address them in a future video. And with that being said, I will talk to you guys next time.